Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk About It. Somebody's got to say it. I'm your girl, Lavonda, and today I just want to talk about the flesh versus the spirit. Or should I say the spirit versus the flesh? But before I get started, I want to read something from Galatians chapter 5, verses 16 and 17. This I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary one to another, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would do. The flesh is contrary to the spirit. I'm not just going to talk about it today, but I'm going to give some examples because people get a lot of things mixed up when it comes to the spirit and the flesh. So when God sends a word to you from someone, if you're operating in the flesh, you're either not going to receive it or you're going to do the opposite. But if you're growing in God or where you need to be in God, when the word comes to you, your spirit will feel it. Your spirit will leap. But when you're operating in the flesh, your ego or pride won't let you receive it because in your mind, I can do what I want to do. I'm grown. I don't have to worry about all that. But then when the things that were said or told to you in the spirit come to pass, then you're mad. And you want to say, well, they spoke that. No, it wasn't spoke on you. They gave you a warning first. And the Bible tells us that a warning comes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. So if you fall, it's because you chose to fall. Because you went against the spirit. Now, I'm going to give you an example of how there's a difference in operating between the flesh and the spirit. God gave you an idea, or he's trying to birth something into you. And you know it. He comes back and gives you confirmation in the spirit. And he tells you, I need you to move now. You get in your head, then you start operating out of the flesh because the flesh starts saying, you don't have this and you don't have that, or you need to wait. But the spirit said move now. But the flesh is trying to make you delay, procrastinate, be slowful. But then you're still saying, I yet believe God. How you going to believe him and you won't move when he said you to move? Because you're listening to your flesh instead of your spirit. And then you're wondering why things are going left instead of going right. God done put $1 million operation in you. But that slowful flesh, that rebellious flesh will keep you in that struggle. You say you're saved and you know that you've said something wrong or hurt somebody. And instead of you apologizing because you feel like you were right or you didn't do anything wrong, that flesh going to tell you, you don't owe them no apology. You ain't got to do this. You ain't got to do that. And spiritually, you know that you've offended this person. But that flesh trying to make you stubborn, because that flesh knows it's the little foxes that destroy the vine. So instead of allowing you to apologize, he'll let you take it on and on and on. You'll carry the thing out so long, before you know it, 3-4 days some pass, and you're still operating in the flesh because you refuse to apologize. Don't you know you're hurting yourself? It's the same thing in a marriage. A lot of men that operate from the flesh will think that being the head of a home or the head of your family means you control everything. And whatever you dictate, they're supposed to respond the way you want them to. But a man, a real man, a king, operate from the spirit, understands that the wife is his favor. He knows that she walks beside him. And he understands that it doesn't take anything away from him being the head because she has an opinion or because she has a say-so. The tone you take with your favor means everything. How you speak to her, the tone you use can cause bad things to happen because you mistreat your favor. That favor covers you in prayer. And a lot of times, things are going right because of that favor. But when you start mishandling that favor through that flesh, things will start going left. Some people are still alive because of the favor. Your wife. And when you want to continue operating in that flesh, don't you know God can allow something bad to happen to you just to try to get your attention, and you still won't allow him to get it? And that favor is still covering you, no matter how bad you're treating them, because you want to keep operating in the flesh instead of in the spirit. Because the spirit will say, tell you, hey, don't talk to her like that. Hey, don't treat her like that. Hey, watch what you do out in public. See, the spirit will bring you back, and it'll convict you and correct you if you allow it. But if you keep operating in that flesh, God got a way of putting you on your back or 6 feet under. Because before he allowed you to continue operating in the flesh, hurting your favor, which hinders her walk with him, he can and will take you out of here. And then there's the ones that say, I'm this, I'm that, I got spirit of discernment. I hear God. Okay, if you have the spirit of discernment or you hear God, why do you keep operating from the flesh? When you know the flesh is contrary to the spirit. The spirit will lead you and guide you the right way. The flesh will make you get in your head and do the opposite of what God said. God knows what we're dealing with. He knows the things that we're going through. He may send somebody to you to give you an encouraging word or speak to their spirit to do something encouraging to you or for you. And there, here it comes. Instead of you receiving it the way it was meant or intended, their flesh will rise up and make you think negative thoughts or say something negative about it. And when you snap back to yourself, are you going to apologize or are you going to keep operating in the flesh? Because the spirit will make you apologize and get that thing right. But the flesh going to make you feel like you ain't done nothing wrong. You can be hearing a conversation and half hear it and hear it wrong and say something crazy to somebody from your flesh. And now you've offended them and they try to be quiet so that they don't respond to you. And your flesh keeps poking and poking and poking. Then when the person responds to you, you are offended because you operated out of your flesh. Instead, the spirit should have told you, that's not what they meant. That's not what they were saying. That's not what they were talking about. You misheard it. See, when you hear to respond instead of hearing to listen, you're going to always respond wrong. And the wrong response can keep you in bondage because you refuse to hear the spirit or obey the spirit because you want to keep operating in the flesh. There is no reason, if you say you operate from the spirit, when you see something is wrong or off, or you've offended someone or done something to hurt them, but you say you love them. Now, when you love someone and you operate from the flesh and you see that they're not the same, or that you should be able to look at them and see that they're hurt, but their flesh won't let you apologize because their flesh going to say, you went wrong. They'll be all right. They'll get over it. Because the flesh wants you to sweep it under the rug instead of making it right. But your spirit should say, it's been 3 days. It's been 4 days. You're still operating from the flesh. Why don't you just apologize and make it right? Get things back on track. You don't want to do that because you don't want to hear the spirit. You don't want to obey the spirit because you want that ego of that flesh to keep standing up and rising up. And you want to think in your mind that everything's okay when you haven't even made it right. You have to make it right. You got to deny that flesh and stop listening to that flesh, for that flesh costs you. The flesh can cost you a lot. Not just your peace and your happiness, but that flesh can cause your money to feel like you got a hole in your pocket. It can cause you to get overwhelmed when life and everything coming at you every which way except the right way. And it's all because you want to operate in the flesh and you don't want to obey or hear the spirit. With everything going on, it's time to make a choice and a decision. Do you want to operate from the spirit, or do you want to keep operating from the flesh? When you see operating from the flesh, it's not benefiting you. It's just like when Moses was leading the children of Israel out of Egypt. When he got to the rock, God told him to speak to the rock. Speak to the rock. But disobedience, he struck the rock instead of speaking to the rock. And that's how we are when we operate from the flesh. We do the opposite of what he said. Sometimes all you got to do is speak to a situation out of obedience in the spirit. And things can do a 360 in a matter of minutes. Because you operate from the spirit and not that flesh. But when we refuse to use the tools that God gave us to succeed in this thing called life, we always want to blame the devil. The devil is not responsible for everything that's going on in your life. Some things are because you choose to keep reacting and responding to your flesh. That flesh is a bad thing. Because that flesh gonna always make you see everybody else the way it wants you to see them. The flesh is not going to let you see the change in a person. The flesh is not going to let you see the spirit or growth in a person. Because the flesh wants to see that person how they were 10, 15 years ago. But the spirit will show you who that person is now, who they're becoming. And it won't allow you to keep bringing up the past of a person or what they done. The flesh won't let you see that they're no longer in darkness, or they don't operate from a dark place, but they are a light. That darkness of their flesh will cause you to constantly attack them or keep speaking ill of them instead of seeing that light. And I'm going to say this because I could go on, but I don't want to be too long. The Bible tells us, touch not my anointed, neither do my prophet no harm. Just because you're saved, don't make the other person not saved. That person can be chosen and called by God and fight with everything in them to obey the Spirit. You can put your mouth on them with one wrong word, and life as you know it, because you choose to operate in the flesh, can be over with. You can lose everything in a split second because you putting your mouth on somebody you ain't got no business putting your mouth on. Because they don't move like you want them to move, or they don't do what you want them to do. They don't have to obey you. They have to obey the Spirit. The word tells us, put your trust in no man. Study the word to show thyself approved so you can rightly divide the word of truth. Because everybody want to make wrong seem right and right wrong. It's time to choose if you want to continue operating from the flesh or if you want to operate from the Spirit. The choice is yours. Whether you want to stay in the struggle with your flesh or you want to walk in the abundance, obeying the Spirit. Because obedience is better than sacrifice. That's all I got for you today. I'm your girl, Lavonda, and thank you for listening to Let's Talk About It. Somebody's got to say it. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And be thankful on this beautiful Thursday. I love you, and God loves you too.